Inflation is affecting the economy and people's wallets. People are complaining about the price of eggs, the price of gas, the price of restaurants, and the price of hotels. But how is the economy and other uncertainties affecting the cruise industry right now? Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now, I have been following this topic with interest over the last couple of months as cruise lines have been sharing their passenger booking data and the trends. Now, as a cruiser, you might be wondering how all of this might affect you. Now, in this video, I'm going to share with you the actions that cruise lines have been taking to try to navigate the present economic situation. But because I also really like to talk to real cruisers, I also asked in my Life Well Cruised Facebook community how the economy is affecting how they are booking cruises right now and into the next year. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention two things. Firstly, I am in sunny Florida right now, so please forgive me as the sun is in my eyes. I will probably be putting on sunglasses for this video. We're going on a cruise in just a couple of days. And secondly, if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. So let's start off with what we're hearing from cruise lines, and some of this really might surprise you. Number one, cruise demand is strong. Yes, passenger bookings are up for many different cruise lines who have shared in press releases and earnings calls that bookings are up and have actually exceeded their expectations. For many cruise lines, from Royal Caribbean, Norwegian Cruise Line, and even P&O, they have all said that their bookings have exceeded 2019, which was really the last full year of passenger bookings before the pandemic. Now, this is particularly interesting because, of course, just like everything else, the prices are higher than they were in 2019. However, P&O did make a statement, and they said it's particularly encouraging that guests who are new to cruising are recognizing the excellent value for money, fantastic destinations, and unique experience on a P&O vacation. But I think we could probably extrapolate this to other cruise lines as well. There is a value that people are seeing right now in cruising despite the higher pricing. Now, this brings us to number two, where surveys and studies indicate that people are prioritizing travel. They say despite the economic pressures that this is an area where they will continue to spend money. And many people indicated that they consider travel to be more important than material things right now. New cruise ship builds are bigger. Now, we've seen this for several years that on the most part, mainstream cruise lines are building bigger cruise ships. But right now, this is especially relevant as bigger cruise ships equal economies of scale. Now, whether we look at Princess Cruises, which has the new Sun Princess cruise ship coming out in early 2024, that is going to be approximately 30,000 tons bigger than their current biggest cruise ships right now. Or we take a look at Norwegian Cruise Line, which just built Prima and Viva, and their next two cruise ships in that same class, they are going to be bigger to accommodate more passengers. Now, bigger cruise ships can not only accommodate more passengers, but they can also employ less crew to operate them. Now, there are other cost savings in having one big cruise ship rather than two smaller cruise ships. The cruise lines only need one of every department. So whether that's restaurants and lounges and theaters or other venues or a bridge and an engine room, larger cruise ships do achieve cost savings. Now, this doesn't mean that it's all bad for cruise passengers. As cruise lines do point out, today's guests want a choice of activities, choice of entertainment, choice of restaurants, and in some ways a resort at sea that bigger cruise ships can provide. Now, we've all been hearing about cruise line cutbacks. However, one thing that might surprise you is the area of marketing. We have some cruise lines that are cutting back on marketing, while other cruise lines are deciding to spend more on marketing. Now, Norwegian Cruise Line, who invested a lot in marketing through the 2 years or so of the pandemic, has said that they are now bringing their marketing budget back in line with 2019 levels. So they're really cutting back on the marketing that drove a lot of their bookings that they are enjoying now. However, we've heard from Carnival, who says that they are now investing very heavily in marketing, in particular to attract those coveted first-time cruisers. And we've seen that Royal Caribbean, I think also Celebrity, we've really seen that these cruise lines have been investing in marketing, and according to their data on bookings, it is working. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that when any cruise line does invest in marketing, this increases visibility for the cruise industry as a whole. Now, interestingly, only 20% of Americans took a cruise last year, so there is a lot of room for growth. Right-sizing costs. Now, we first heard this term from Frank Del Rio from Norwegian Cruise Line, but it does seem to be another way to say cruise cutbacks. Now, even though this is not something that cruisers like, the reality is that cruise lines have incurred a lot of debt over the last 3 years or so. And this is an industry that was used to working and running at really pretty good profits. Now, we're seeing cutbacks on many different cruise lines, and unfortunately it looks like some of this really is going to be the new normal. So we are seeing housekeeping going from twice a day to 1 time a day on several cruise lines. We're seeing some cutbacks on entertainment, and we're seeing some marked cutbacks on food quantities and options. Now, even though we are seeing those cutbacks and those reductions in services, I think that it is something important to note when we look at those words, right sizing costs, that there is an element now that we are seeing differences between different cruise lines and even differences between different categories. So for instance, if you do get one of the higher categories or a suite, you're still going to have twice a day housekeeping on those mainstream cruise lines. As well, if you do book with a premium cruise line rather than a contemporary cruise line, so for instance, if you are booking with Holland America or with Princess or with Celebrity, then you are still going to be able to have the option to have twice a day housekeeping. However, if you're booking with a contemporary cruise line or a more value cruise line, such as Norwegian Cruise Line, Carnival, or Royal Caribbean, housekeeping is down to once a day. And as well, when it comes to the food offerings, premium and luxury cruise lines will not have those reductions in food options and quality to the same degree that we might see on those value-based cruise lines. The focus on value. Now, something that we're seeing is, even though the economy is difficult right now, we're not necessarily seeing cheap cruises, but we are seeing a focus on value. So an option for cruisers to include all-inclusive options that is popular with some guests. Now, some of the more all-inclusive bundling options include a beverage package, specialty dining, gratuities, shore excursions, Wi-Fi, and other extras. We're also seeing when cruise lines are running promotions that rather than offering cheap or inexpensive prices, they are offering extras like onboard credits that people can use towards specialty dining, excursions, and more. Now, mainstream cruise lines are not the only ones talking about value. We also have river cruise lines talking about value. Now, typically, river cruises are more expensive than ocean-going cruises. However, according to an article by Travel Weekly, people across all economic levels, well, they understand that they are going to be paying more in 2023, but they do want to have value. And value, not to be confused with the least expensive or the cheapest, really has to do with that value of the vacation. So river cruise lines are focusing on offerings that are attractive and that do provide that extra value. Attracting new cruisers. Now, cruise lines always try to attract new cruisers. However, right now, there is a realization that they are losing a part of their customer base due to attrition. So if we look at the fact that many people started cruising in the 90s and in the 2000s, maybe they were 40, 50, or 60. Of course, you can do the math. They might be 60 or 70 or 80. And the reality is that they do really need to attract a lot of new cruisers and provide them the vacation that they want. Now, in today's travel environment, cruise lines are very well positioned to do this. We have all seen the cost of hotels. It really is exorbitant in some cases. And the fact is, even when we look at what you get for a hotel stay, many times housekeeping has been reduced to once every second day. The fact is that cruising has the fun, inclusions, and value that many first-time cruisers are looking for. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I always like to hear from real cruisers, and I was curious if the rosy picture that we are really hearing from the cruise line, if real cruisers felt the same way. So I did ask in my Life Well Cruise Facebook community, which, by the way, we have over 40,000 cruisers that are part of it. Well, I did ask, how is the economy affecting the way you are booking cruises right now? And some of the answers might surprise you. So firstly, most people said that yes, they are prioritizing cruising and travel, to the point that they will cut back on other areas of their life, including going to restaurants and other expenses to be able to cruise and travel. Secondly, yes, despite the higher costs and despite the cutbacks, people still see the value in cruising. Now, one thing that was mentioned was the cost of air. Flights are quite expensive at the time that I'm filming this video, and many people are saying that they are making some changes to the way they are booking cruises based on this. So some people are saying they're going to try to drive to their cruise ports if possible. Other people are saying they're specifically looking at cruises where they can drive to the cruise port, so they are avoiding some itineraries where that would mean taking a flight. Now, many people did point out that they may have to reduce the amount of cruises that they go on per year. So if they were doing 2 to 3 cruises a year, they may be able to only do 1 to 2 cruises a year. And of course, if they were doing 2 cruises a year, they may cut back to 1 cruise a year, but they will not stop cruising. Now, something that was interesting is even for people that were loyal to one cruise line, they did say that right now, because of the economy and because they are feeling the pinch in their own household budget, that they are really looking for deals, and that includes trying some different cruise lines that they may not have tried before. Now, I would love to hear from you. How do you think that the economy might affect cruise lines even into the next coming months or year? And how is the economy maybe affecting how you are booking cruises and what you are looking for? Now, I will be heading on a Virgin cruise in just a few days, so please do watch out for those videos. Now, I hope that you did enjoy this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.